everyone. Before we begin, we are actually going to be walking together in one direction in a specific sequence. But before we do that, I want to say that it's been an honor to be a part of this process of both looking at all of the submissions and then coming here in person, and that I didn't look once. I stayed with pieces. I left, I came back, and I kept returning to certain works. And so I'm going to talk about my process as well as the pieces that I chose. But because I did that during a specific time, when I came here for hours, I had my notebook, I took notes, and I went back to my notes, and I actually brought my notes with me because we're always changing and we're always making new meaning. And I know new meaning will come from our conversations here today, from perhaps questions or comments, but I want to share what the meaning was for me when the pieces were chosen. So I will ask you to disregard. I'm looking at my phone to see the notes I took from each piece first when I was here. And then we can respond in present time as well at like how much that still carries and what new meaning we can make together for each one of these pieces. So I have notes on my phone that I first took by writing. So I want to acknowledge that I have those in here with my phone. So as Christina mentioned, my background is in performing arts. So theater, music, storytelling. And so because of my background, as I looked around, I was looking for things that connected for me with narrative, with tension, with presence, with emotional resonance, a lot of the things that connect with my work in performing arts in general. And I also want to acknowledge that these choices are, as you all, I'm sure know, related to my experiences in performing arts and my experiences with each work of art. So, of course, my lens and all perspectives here are valid. And I know a different person would have had a completely different lens and experience. And this does not diminish the value of all the works that are here. On the contrary, it gives us the opportunity to have a dialogue, which is my favorite thing about art of any kind. Is not just an opportunity to witness, but an opportunity to reflect. So this is my favorite part of this whole process. So what I looked for, as I mentioned, when I think of even the title, The Art of Spectacle, and I'm going to talk just about the entire exhibit before we begin. I looked for works that expanded the idea of spectacle, not just works that dazzled, but also that revealed something human, that revealed something imaginative, something intimate, something transformative. And every piece that's on the wall here is contributing to this exploration in its own compelling ways, right? But the awards or the mentions were chosen because for me, they align strongly with an aspect that really called my attention and made me go back to all of these works, right? So we're going to begin here with one of the honorable mentions, stage presence. Also, I did not have the titles of any of the works or who was it created by. So even hearing the title, sometimes of like what meaning the artist is already attributing to the name of a piece versus what I took from it without even having that acknowledgement. I love this idea of going in blind to a place and just making your own meaning first, right? So stage presence, this was not written next to it when I looked at it. And at first, right, you come in here. So when I looked at this and I kept going back, very simple object. We all have a mirror at home, right? Pretty sure we have it in our cars. We have it sometimes in our purse. We carry it with us. For me, this connects with the themes of reflection and transformation in regards to spectacle. So the work itself immediately caught my attention because of the bold colors and transforming an everyday object into something special, right? Into something theatrical. When I look at this, I make the clear connection that for me, the arts, particularly performing arts and theater, because that's one of my biggest backgrounds, is a mirror. And I didn't say that, Shakespeare did. Theater is a mirror that reflects our vices and virtues, he said. And for me, this represents a magical mirror, right? Because it invites the viewer to be a part of it. Based on where you place yourself, you can see your reflection, or you can see the reflection, and I invite you to walk around and see, or you see the reflection of other works around you as well. And sometimes you see both. You see yourself and you see other works of art around it, speaking to it as at the same time. So we become a part of that spectacle too. And so I kept going back to the mirror, and I kept going back to this idea. So this the shifting perspective of going back and forth and seeing different things and seeing people and seeing each other here as we look into this art right now, for me, this deeply connects to performance as well. And I love that we're beginning with this, because this work of art here is inviting all of us to be a part of the spectacle. It's simple, yet quietly powerful. And so I open up for any questions or comments, because I want this to be a dialogue. Before we go into the next, I invite you to share, what do you see, or what questions you may have.
I think it's challenging because there's no mirror when you're looking at it as a blind object.
A blind object?
You know, when you're looking at it
Yeah.
on your phone.
Oh, yeah.
Reflection, yet you're reading all that into it. I think it's marvelous on your part.
Oh, thank you. Yes, so it's interesting. Yeah, so like seeing it in person, also very different, right, than seeing it before. But it did catch really the boldness of it. Like it's hard to walk by and not acknowledge this presence, right? In itself, it is a presence. And then going back to it, and then being able to speak to the art in this way. So yes.
Does the artist have anything to share? It was the first time I actually put a mirror in it.
Interesting.
The other
Yes.
pieces have just been
the
entire
frame.
Flowers.
Yeah.
Not just a frame, but
The entire thing,
The
flowers.
entire piece
Yes.
is flowers. The first time that I put the mirror in, but I also was working with the theme.
Sure.
So,
Sure.
and I actually
Yes.
like it.
I would love to hear. Yeah, I would love to hear. Why did you pick stage presence as the title?
Well, I had some help. I usually put everything in my family group chat.
Yes.
And my son is an art major as well. And then after that, he actually put it into AI and came up with a bunch of others. I actually originally, going with more circus theme was ringmaster or clown. Because you're looking into it, but family group voted for stage presence.
Okay.
They vote on all of them.
It is a group effort sometimes, right? That collaboration, yes. And just in regards to title, I didn't give a title when I looked at it, right? I mean, the title that came to mind is the quote, Shakespeare's quote, "Theater is a mirror," right? So performance, and it's always been in this way. But it's not just, I think one of the important things here that I think speaks to all art in general is that it shouldn't be just a reflection, right? It should be a tool, right, as well for us. And in this case, it really is a tool. We are seeing ourselves reflected, and there is a dialogue happening. So this is the first of a.
And the husband and wife bought it for his sister, who just lost her husband, and she was drawn to the colors.
Yes.
So she's going to put it in her home.
That's beautiful. Yeah. And how lovely it is to be able to actually do this at a gallery where you know that the art is going to be a part of people's lives more than just staying in an art museum, which is for everyone. You can keep going there and seeing, and it belongs to all when we go to a museum, right? But to actually be able to have somebody have now a personal relationship with that. I love it. Well, thank you. Any other comments before we continue or questions? Don't be shy. Yes. Again, just like all of the works I saw, when I came here, there was no title. I did not know that this was Mother Earth, right? Or like who was representing. But the themes immediately, as I looked at this, I connected with this idea of myth, of symbol, which is very theatrical as well, right? We see the gold figure, the hands, the feet. And so, we recognize parts of the being coming from this other large object, which we hear are the clouds and birds and the nests and the eggs and the skull. So a lot of symbols we can see here. So it's telling us a story. For me, this is very connected with myth, which is one of the big things we do in theaters is this idea of archetypes and myths and how we became storytellers and where stories came from. So for me, this is the mythic presence. Like for me, that there's this connection with the archetypes, but also very contemporary symbols in here. So I see the contrasts of the holding the nest in the hands, this idea of protection and fragility, right? We see some broken eggs of the birds that have come out. Also the skulls, this idea of mortality, cycles of life. So a lot of symbols connected to stories. Horns elevating the figure beyond being human, which we also see on the feet here. A character suspended, maybe between worlds. And I feel like this is very much what the arts sometimes connect for us. I looked at this and was like, part guardian, part deity, part performer. And so for me, this expanded the theme of spectacle into mythic spectacle. And for me, it has this it's story and symbolism and where everything intertwines. So as I, again, walked around and looked at everything, I kept going back. There's something about myth. There's something about archetypes that pulls us back and symbols. And we can all make our own symbols and connect, right? Birds, like as an animal, right? The only ones that, I mean, they can be in water, they can be on earth, they can be in the sky. So like moving between realms, right? You feel that connection. And then the stories of mythology, the stories that we kept sharing over and over throughout history and where it all began, this idea of storytelling. So that kept me coming back for this. I mean, I was like, this is such a representation of the art of spectacle in this way. So that's what kept me coming to this. I would love to hear. And the title, if you haven't heard yet, it's Mother Earth Reaching Through the Clouds. And I saw part deity, part goddess. I had not identified specifically as Mother Earth for me, right? But I had that connection. What do you see, or what would you like to share? I don't think Anita is here. I don't know if she's on Zoom as well, the artist. But
I'm just curious.
yes.
Did the artists make those objects, or were they found objects that were conveniently?
That's a great question for the artist. I don't know if she found the objects and put them together because she's not here and she's not on Zoom. But whether she found those, or I wouldn't be able to ask, but we don't know. Yeah. Yeah, and I did not know who had made this when I chose this as one of the pieces, but
I'm really curious.
so, right.
I mean, yeah, I mean, if she made them,
It's right, right. Yeah, casting it herself or found it and put it together. I don't know if anybody knows.
They're found objects. That would be my assumption, is that they're found objects.
It's pretty creative in itself. finding.
Right. How to transform, right? The transformative power of the arts. You take something ordinary and you make that extraordinary. Right. Right. Yeah. Any other comments or any questions here?
Well,
Yes.
just to think, your explanation, if you like,
Mhm.
of this piece, I wonder if that tallies with the artist.
I wonder the same thing, right? Without the presence of the arts, it's very possible. And that's something about art that I love. An artist might create a piece with an intention and a meaning behind it, but once it's created, it belongs to everyone who's engaging with that piece. My meaning is always going to be my meaning, and everybody can create their own meaning related to the art, right? And once you put it out there, whether you are a visual artist or you're a performing artist and you're playing a character, it's the same thing. The audience will make their own interpretation of who you are and why they connect with you or not. And that's the beauty of art. I think how it changes. When you have the artist, it's great to hear their perspective. And sometimes it might add different layers into it. I still will look at this and make my own connections. Can I expand my view of this once I hear from the artist? Absolutely. And that's the beauty of being able to talk to living artists. Otherwise, I still have that connection that I made with my own interpretation of it. But yeah, great question. So as I looked at this, my connection that I made with the theme was anticipation and atmosphere. Without knowing the title, I already understood there was more of a literal explanation to me. I was like, oh, the circus is coming to town, right? And the title is The Day the Circus Came to My Dreary Town. So it just added a layer, and you can see the different colors and how the circus is bringing that other colors in there. So for me, it's just that this is capturing the feeling of spectacle before it begins. Because a spectacle is not just during the spectacle. Even before it begins, you're already connecting with that idea. How? Through anticipation, right? We see the circus coming. There is a visual contrast with the colors it's bringing and the other colors of the whole environment. So the deep, moody tones being transformed. So that's one of the ideas. Spectacles can transform an environment. And there's that. So the transformation, but also anticipation. So for me, this show it brings that energy of like something's about to happen. Something extraordinary is about to happen. So the feeling sometimes of waiting, of possibility and wonder is what we need, right? To have a connection with a piece as well. So as I looked at that, I felt that sense of wonder. I felt that sense of energy and anticipation. And I know Janice is not here, and I don't know if she's on Zoom, so we can't ask artist questions, but I would love to hear from you if you have any thoughts or if you have any questions for me, or what do you see and anything else you want to share? The circus is coming to town. What a simple idea, but what a meaningful connection, right? Of that anticipation. Like we can go back to our own experiences, whether we have experienced literally the circus coming to town or just the anticipation of going to see a show you've been waiting for or an artist you liked so much, and then you've been able, like you finally get tickets and you go see it, right? That anticipation of that wonder of that. I see that even now through my kids' eyes, they go see their favorite singers or that same idea is still there. And so that a big part of spectacle is before it even begins. And so that's why I kept going back to this one. What else do you see? Yes.
What kind of captivated me about this painting is the contrast between the organicness of the environment, the sky, and the reality of the train. It's such a push-pull between what is obviously her sad town, this vibrant, real kind of object.
Mhm.
It really rocks me in a way.
Yeah.
That contrast.
Yeah.
In the painting style.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. And she really captured that contrast of the dreary with the joy and the anticipation, right? It's in the colors and the texture, not just the idea. Absolutely.
We're talking about painting style, painting the way of using the brush and
Yeah.
it's like almost like two different worlds.
Right. Right. Yes. Yes. We notice we can make a lot more details in here and like the clown in there and the balloon, like we're able to like think it's almost like bringing something into focus. I wear contacts. So if I don't have my contacts, I'm like, oh, I see really cloudy. And so it's almost like that, like you're starting to bring something into focus in here, and that's it pulls us. Yeah. Then the artist was really able to capture that, and it's lovely. Mhm.
I believe Janice is from Rhode Island.
I believe so too. I think I heard that. Yes. Like a New England type of weather. So could be totally rooted in her own personal experiences as well. Yes. Good point. Yes. Anything else you'd like to share or add? Please.
No.
No?
The contrast. I think the contrast has got there. Something attracts me anyway.
Yeah.
And the way it deals with the buildings, the circus buildings.
Yes.
The highlight. It's, yeah,
Mhm.
lovely.
It is lovely. I agree. Mhm. Yes.
Got energy.
It has energy. Yes.
20th century trains, the picture of the train coming.
Yes.
Beating it.
Right.
This is, I would say not that, it has that energy. Which I think is awesome.
Yep. Yep. The Ringmaster. So the themes, I immediately looked at that and I was like, play, joy, but also role reversal, which is very theatrical, right? So initially, bright colors, expressive details. There is a lot to look at in here. The role reversal, the lion becoming the ringmaster, the clown inside the cage. This is such a fun thing that spectacles can do, right? And play with very clear storytelling. So for me, this work celebrates the part of spectacle that is delight, that's entertainment, shared amazement, even like it. The artist was able to capture such a facial expression in this lion that you can see it coming to life. You can, like, I can imagine this being animated, right, and just talking, and so for me, this connects with the art of spectacle. Sometimes we're just being invited to just be enchanted. And that's what this work for me captured so well. And how fun it is that spectacle allows us to reverse roles at times, and how much fun we have playing with reversed roles as well as social commentary, right? Because sometimes it's there to in a story, there's always status. Like somebody has more power than somebody else. And it's always been, the ringmaster with more power over the animal. But here it's the opposite role, which is just what attracts us in that story so much. So this, I was like, oh, so much joy. I'm like, I want to play when I see this. It brings that childlike quality within me. And that, I think it's like, it goes back to, the oldest part of who we are, which is our imagination. So fun. This is like, for me, the embodiment of that. And do we have the artists on Zoom? I would love to hear from our artists, or if anybody wants to add comments or ask questions. We do have the artists on Zoom.
Whoop. There goes my glasses. So do you have a question for me?
Anyone would like to ask a question from our
If
artist?
you can just tell us, Kathy, a little bit about, your inspiration
Yeah.
and the
Mm.
process of creating this.
Well, all of my pieces, of course, I'm a paper mache artist,
Mhm.
and all of my pieces really kind of evolve organically. And actually, this piece started out as a dog.
Oh. Mm.
But as I worked on it, I realized it had more cat-like qualities than dog-like qualities.
Uh-huh.
And it evolved into a lion.
Mhm.
And actually it sat unfinished in my studio for several months after I started it, because I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do with the mane and the tail, and in
Mhm.
finding a lot of my stuff that I use in my art are found objects and antiques, and I collect all sorts of stuff. In fact, the buttons on the jacket are from a jacket that my grandmother wore to my wedding 53 years ago. So
Wow.
it tells a story in a lot of different ways. And I love your point about the role reversal. And that's what I wanted to do. Um, I wanted to put the animal in a dominant role over the human.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I wanted to also confine the human like a human confines an animal.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wanted to play on that. And then I also wanted to have something that a lion tamer used to carry a whip and a chair. And so, it needed to have some sort of way to discipline the human. So that's why I did the whip the way I did.
Yep.
But yeah, it was a very fun piece to create, and I had a lot of fun doing it. And my work is a lot about joy, because
I can tell.
finding joy sometimes is difficult to do, and
Yeah.
especially in the times we're living now.
Mhm.
And finding joy is really an important part of life to me,
Yeah.
and living
Yeah.
that joy.
Yes.
And so that's kind of what he represents.
Thank you for sharing that. And who would we be, right, if we didn't have the arts to sometimes express or escape sometimes from that reality, right, and find some joy and create and have fun and still remember that. So yeah, beautifully said. And yes, anybody has a question
Thank
for
you.
her or for me, or a
I
comment?
think he's been very successful anyway with
Yes.
the original idea
Yeah.
about the human and
Yeah.
the animal taking
Mhm,
over. So,
mhm.
I think
Yeah. I think it's one of the fun things about being an artist of any kind of art form is we get to ask, what if, right? What if the lion here is the one in charge, right? Why not? And have that freedom to create and tell that story. I think it's just as artists, we have that permission that sometimes other people don't ask themselves, what if the roles were reversed? Right? And we should look into to artists a little more and see how artists see the world, and perhaps ask some of those questions as well in real life. So this represents that beautifully.
I like
Thank you.
exaggerated ratio. I mean, it's
Right. So fun.
like the human
I know.
to lion wouldn't.
Yeah. The size and the placement
But
also.
the
Yeah.
clown itself is so small.
I know. And you can hear the clown's voice. It's like a very high pitch little voice. Like, get me out of here.
Tell her who he is.
Christina knows who he really is.
She told me. I know.
We're in a safe space here. The orange hair gives it away.
Yeah, now we have some recognition and laughs. So yeah. And I got to say also how sometimes even the art is presented just like the fact that this is here, there's that space around, makes me want to come here and hug this work of art, doesn't it? Like, it just feel, it's so inviting. It's just like, oh, I want to hold you. Yes. Well, thank you. We can
Thanks,
continue
Stephanie.
this way. Yes, thank you.
Thank you. And I'm mute myself here. Okay.
All right. We're going to the merits now. And I believe we have Robert here. Okay. Yes. I'll be in here so there's more space if anybody wants to be on that side. All right. I will begin, but I do know we have the artist here, so we got to hear from him, hopefully, and ask questions. So the Big Bug Circus was one of the merits that I chose. Again, immediately as I kept walking by, I was just like, I kept, my attention kept coming back here, connecting with the theme of imagination, but also perspective. Perspective is such a big thing that we connect with stories and plays and spectacle, right? Whose perspective we're hearing from a story, who's telling the story, our perspective. There's like the different points of view, right, that are being presented. So for me, this piece immediately sparked curiosity, which is one of my favorite feelings, right? I think if art can spark curiosity, is like our job is done. There is something that, of course, we see clearly the human figure and then the bug figure, and we see the bug much bigger, playing again here with the size and the perspective. It's just so fun to scale, right? In the imagination. There's something like we see the tiny human appearing vulnerable, right? Before this giant creature, but at the same time, we remain larger than everything, right? Because of the scale of the art as well. So there's something about us looking from behind the glass. That's one thing, but also us still, I mean, it would be scary to see a bug this big in real life, but at the same time, we're still bigger than the bug, like us viewers, right? So I'm like, I feel safe, right? It's like danger, but safety at the same time, which sometimes mirror the experience of spectacle, right? And then the craftsmanship of like the details and how fun. I was the kind of kid who used to put things in jars in like behind glass to observe later. So that like just even the whole thing being in a little case makes you want to look at it, right? I'm like, and observe. You become the observer of that experience, of those details. Like this is like a miniature stage set. It's contained, it's very theatrical, and it's full of story. Right? I'm like, what world in this world, this is the normal. The human is tiny, the bug is giant, and that is the reality of the story in this world. And spectacles invite us into different worlds, and it's just so fun to be a part of it. So I kept going back to this, not just because of the story and the meaning, but also how delicate it is. And it's all captured in here. And I know we have the artist here. What an opportunity. So love to hear you share about your piece, and then we can open up for comments, questions for anyone.
I just felt that bugs are sculpturesque, and the
Yes.
praying mantis is familiar to a lot of people, whereas other bugs aren't. I don't know what this.
So how did your explanation?
My connection.
Pardon?
How did you feel about my explanation of
Yeah,
the connection versus your intention?
And it fit the show.
Yes.
A lot of fun to make.
How long did it take you to make this? I'm curious.
I'm gonna say 200 hours.
200 hours.
The bug is mahogany. The figure is maple, ironwood, and tonga nut. His arms and face are a nut.
When you say 200 hours,
Pardon?
when you say 200 hours, there's conception time and execution time. Is that 200 hours of both?
Well, you can't carve every minute.
Right.
So there's a lot of times, what do I do next?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And there's the idea you're bringing about, something, everything starts with the imagination, right? Everything that's ever existed. And until it becomes a concept that's physical, that everybody can see, how long does it really become a part of that story or that thought that we might not even be aware of it. It's being formed until we begin. So, yeah.
The praying mantis was a lot easier than the figure.
Can you-
Figure work doesn't come to me very easily.
Can you just clarify one thing? Because I don't have my reading glasses in here and it's so tiny. It looks like it is a weapon.
There's a gun.
There is a gun in there, right?
Morgan, he doesn't have his gun.
So there is a gun, but he can't use it because it's on the floor.
Is the praying mantis carved out of one piece?
The
Thank goodness.
praying mantis, the body and head is one piece and the legs are separate.
Mhm.
And then, of
Still
course, the
amazing.
figure is
Yeah.
separate pieces. No paint.
Wow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it's for sale, by the way.
Like everything is. So, yes. Really beautiful. Any comments, any questions? Anybody from Zoom who has any questions or comments?
Nice work.
Well,
Mhm.
thank you.
Thank you for being here. So fun. So like I walked this, I don't know how many times I walked around the whole thing. Then I left and I came back and I walked more and that's when I was like making my final choices. I'm like, these are like the pieces I kept going back to all the time, going back to. And the more you go back to something, the more you create a relationship with it too. So that's fun.
And you have a background in the circus, if I'm not mistaken.
I've put up a few tunes, yep. The circus is a dangerous business, it says on the little.
It does say that. The circus is a dangerous business.
Little girl that went up her silks and she fell, not hurt, she hit the man flat. He grabbed the microphone and he said, the circus is a
Yeah.
dangerous business, and that stuck with me.
Yeah.
It is.
There it is. Approve.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. We're going to turn right there. And then we're going to come back to the middle here, but we're just continuing the merit. We're going to be looking into this one. So do you want to be on this side? We're going to be looking. Okay. Do we have, wonderful. We have our artists here as well. Oops, sorry, I keep touching the microphone. Hopefully nobody. Okay.
Yeah, you're good.
It is fuzzy.
Yeah.
It's like, yes, okay. So when I looked at this, also again, it just caught my attention, the themes of intimacy and breath, which I connected with spectacle. So this for me stood out as just like this extraordinary intimacy, right? So sometimes we see spectacles from a distance, but here the artist is inviting us like extremely close. So it caught my attention. You can look and notice like the individual hairs, right? The texture you can see the breath suspended in the air. So breath is something that is so connected with performance, right? It's rhythm, it's presence, it's life. And here breath becomes a spectacle as well. So the dark background also with the light and the whole atmosphere, it's just very, very theatrical. When I look at this, I can almost hear the exhale of the horse. I can smell. Sometimes you're so up close in the performance that you see the actors spitting, right? And you have that moment of intimacy or looking at people from a different angle if you're in the first row, sometimes that you normally wouldn't be seeing. So it's just such a fun perspective of this proximity we sometimes have of a detail like that. And breath really is so connected with stories and life. So this, again, I kept going back and back and back. And it's Circus Horse at Sunrise is the title. We do have the artist here, and I would love to hear your story behind and why, or how does this idea of intimacy and breath and that you capture in this connects with the theme or with you?
A couple of years ago, I vacationed in Horse Country in the Panhandle. And I had heard that a horse's pupil, not like ours is round, it's a slit. So I have been trying to get close to horses, and they don't like that. But I noticed that if you play music from your cell phone, they come towards you. And a whole bunch of horses came to me just to listen and to sniff at me. But I was really trying to photograph the eyes in the slit. And I have, I don't normally do pastel. As you see, I'm still painting on oils. So at the time I did pastels, and I did about 6 horse faces. Just I have one painting which is about this big, and it's just a horse's eye with my own reflection painted in it. And another one I had here where a horse painted the matte horse. But anyway, I like this one. It was just a snout, don't know what word I should use, but the nose and the mouth, not the eye, because that, I did it diagonally. So I just played, the photograph is of the whole head, but I just played with the composition and cropping. And eventually I came to this and I painted this in pastel. And the white of the horse's hair, if you get close, there is purple in there, there is blue in there, and green. And then in the horse's breath, that was just white. And then my son was visiting, he was actually here. He said that you should repeat all these colors in here. And if you get close, you see the purple and the yellow and the green. So makes it a bit more lively. That's it. Thank you.
It's a very, for me, this is such a sensory piece. We can hear, we can smell, I can feel the texture of the horse. I can literally feel like because we can touch with our imagination, and I can touch this horse in my imagination and notice the smoothness. I can feel it in my hands, right? And spectacle is all about the senses as well. And so this moment, right? And the vision was just the capturing that intimacy, and all of it was connected. I can taste the horse, but the smell might, be enough in this case. Any comments? Any questions?
That's beautiful. You can smell the gloss.
Right?
Yeah, what's interesting is when you hear his explanation, you would never know it looking at it. It looks like just two objects. Good, but it's that's outstanding is what you just explained.
Yeah. Anyone else? We're gonna turn you can turn and look at over here now. And we're gonna go to third, second, and first place in this order now. as we finish the conversation, and I'm happy and open to hearing your thoughts about anything else. I don't know where to best place myself. I don't want to hide anything, so I don't know if you can see from there. If you wanted to move more, or if I should place myself over here, I don't know. Okay. All right. So again, did not know the title or anything. I walked and I walked and I walked. And what this piece kept pulling me back, that made me connect with theater. So for me, the theme here is the seduction of spectacle. This is the theme that brought me to this piece, the seduction of spectacle, right? The intensity of her gaze pulling me in. So what this character is doing here is making direct eye contact with us viewers, breaking the fourth wall. And some spectacles do that, right? When you're able to break that fourth wall and engage with the audience, like, and look at somebody. So that made me feel drawn to this world immediately, because she was like, you, right? Talking to me directly. So the visual anchors, right? The eyes, the dramatic lighting as well, the dark background with the light of the fire, like both illumination and spectacle, this represented for me. Then you have things like the costume elements, the horns and the jewelry and all the adornment, right? Showing this type of constructed persona that we see so much in spectacle, but transformation. Her so calmly handling something so dangerous like fire. We know how many times have you heard, we don't play with fire. And this is exactly what she's doing here, right? And how spectacle has this way of connecting with that idea as well. But it was the eyes that kept me bringing over and over again. And I was like, this painting broke the fourth wall in a different way than, for example, the mirror invited us to be a part of it, right? Because now we're being called by somebody specifically into this painting. And then also the other thing, it was like the very like it's so cinematic, the framing, right? Giving us that view that I was like, wow, this is being given to me in a silver plate right in here. And it's really pulling me in this way as well. So the coolness of the silver with the warmth of the fire, there was just so much in here. And I kept going back and forth. Do we have the artist on Zoom? Or Maria, she was briefly there. And then I don't know.
I'll have to stick to chat if there's any specific.
Okay, got it. Okay, because I'd be curious to hear. So that's what kept me. I was walking. I'm like, she sees me. She's looking at me. What do you see? What are your thoughts or questions to me or the artist?
It's unbelievable that it is an oil painting, because I thought it was a photograph and had to get really close.
Right.
And even then I couldn't believe my eyes.
Yes.
And also I like what you said about the frame, because we never talk about frames.
Right.
And I'm sure she didn't make the frame herself, but she chose it.
Right.
She chose how wide it was and how big. And I think you know, the juror should pay more attention to how you present your art.
Absolutely.
If you have it framed, it's still you.
Right.
You are the master, the architect, and you might have the bricklayer do the work.
Oh, you are the painter. What is it? You're the painter, the painter. You are the paint. The painter, and the painting. When you're creating, right? And yes, absolutely. And it's not, you know, we don't see round paintings as much as well. So this is very theatrical in this way. It's just like giving you that look, you know, that you would have. So there's that, the frame, but also the dark background and then the figure. There's a lot happening in the composition that's very theatrical. Any other?
Maria said that this is Ruby. She's a performer and director of a local circus troupe called the Secret Circus Society.
Wow.
She has been spellbound by this troupe for years now, and their playful strength and grace inspires her to find those attributes in herself.
Oh yeah, the Secret say that again?
The Secret Circus Society.
The Secret Circus Society, totally fitting. Absolutely, you can tell she belongs to the Secret Circus Society as a character. I love that, yes. Right? It does.
It's funny that you mentioned the fourth wall because that frame,
Yes.
it's like you would see that around a mirror.
Mm-hmm.
It's like got that
Right. Yes, yes.
Almost like a portal.
Like a portal. Absolutely. It is a portal. And it's pulling you in. That's why it's the seductress, right? Yeah, it's the seduction of performance. And yeah, when I thought of the seduction of performance, that's like even before I knew the title of the painting. Yeah, she is seducing us for sure. It's like, me? You're looking at me? Yes. Okay. Well, any other? No, we're almost there. So we're gonna come this way now. I'll stand, I guess I'll stand behind, so it might be easier for you all to then see. Oh, yes. I'll talk about the title later because there was no title obviously in here, but I had a lot of fun reading the title too later once I heard what it was. So for me, while third place was the seduction of performance, this is the tension of performance, right? When you go to see a play, I mean, there's always a dramatic tension, no matter the story. Tension is a part of a story, right? You can't have a story of a protagonist and have no tension happening. So I looked at this, I was like, what is going on here? What's the story? What did this person do in this one? And what did that one do? Like, there's just so much in here. The dramatic tension kept pulling me back here. It's not just form, right? That's happening here. Simple hand-built vessels that are such expressive characters, right? How the artist was able to capture that. So placement of the eyes, of the ones that have the eyes, the tilts even of the opening, the suggestions of the brown, they're it's still so expressive with so little. You can tell like there's a lot of expression in there. So giving these forms, like each one has a personality and you can tell. And there's definitely a narrative. And I can come up with my own narrative about what's going on here, but it's up to each person to create their own. The different heights, the positioning of the characters in this way as well, this is equal to stage blocking, right? In a story, a director will be very specific about where to place a character or anything, right? The blocking is very important. So the stage blocking here also is very evident. So it's not just because what this does, it's not only creating the tension is created not just by each character's expression and form, but it's also the negative space between them, right? And how they're placed. So this for me is drama. This is drama. Spectacle through restraint and tension, right? I'm like, what happened? Even in this one where you cannot see, what is the story between these three figures? Also the connection of like how in spectacle in theater, we are not just people and animals, right? Characters, we become like inanimate objects and ideas come to life. And this is just so, like I see a movie, an animated movie here, something really dramatic happened. But I love how the artist was able to project a story into these objects, like ordinary objects that become an ensemble. So this also creates an ensemble. It's not just one piece, it's the fact that they are together that really makes it attractive. They are an ensemble. There is a charged theatrical presence here. Do we have the artist? Not here. Okay, not even, and also not on Zoom. I did see her at the opening, but yeah. So that again, as a performing artist, I was like, wow, there is a story here, and I could see myself playing each one of these characters in a story. So that's again what kept me coming back to this over and over again. Without knowing that we cannot ask the artists here questions, what comments or questions do you have, or thoughts that you would like to share?
Well, do you think it would be as important or
Mhm.
as good if there were three actual the faces
Mhm.
rather than the tied up
Mhm.
object there?
If the tied-out object also had a face, or
Yeah, because we've got two faces.
sure.
Maybe there should have been another one. Or what?
I see. So for me, there is a face. It's just hidden. That's how I see it, right? The tied-out, like it's almost like for me, the other thing that this piece brings is focal point. Focal point is really big in performance and storytelling. If you go and see a play and an actor on stage just looks up, you're going to look up. You're going to look in the direction of where they're looking at, because that's usually your focal point is telling a story. The fact, for me, the focal point of this character is down. And also because he's tied up, we cannot see his face, but his focal point is down. I don't know if he's the victim or the villain. I don't know but these two know.
So I think it's really helpful to know the title.
Right.
It's Super Ego Anxiously Watching the Ego and the Id.
Right. So that's the art that gives us a little window into the artist's meaning to it. But again, I looked at this without the title and I saw three different individuals, which, you can have within ourselves. We have lots of several characters, right? So similarly, they could be representing the same. Exactly. Yes. Yes. Which voice in your head is this character? Which voice in your head is this one? Which voice in your head is this one? What do they tell you all the time? Mm-hmm. Yes. So seduction of spectacle, tension of spectacle. Now we're going to go to what I chose to be the first one. And we do have the artist here. And I'm going to talk to you about that. All the different aspects of spectacle, how we expanded the idea of spectacle. And so you can follow me to that wall over there now. I'll wait until most of us get in here. If you can. I invite you to come closer if you want to. If you want, you can even be up there. There are chairs if you prefer. Okay. All right. So we'll ask our artists to hear later some questions, but so going by the themes for the awards one, the seduction of spectacle, the tension, for me, this represents the cost of spectacle. I kept walking around, and as someone who works in performance, I immediately recognized this moment and I felt seen, even though I'm not a circus performer, but I felt seen. Because I recognize this moment. This is not the spotlight. This is not the applause, right? This is the backstage reality. This is the in between the scenes. This is that intimate moment that you recognize and you share with your fellow performers. That quiet pause between the shows and the spectacle. And we often don't see this, right? We see the glitter more often. This is what happens after the glitter settles. And this work brings that, makes it, for me, the spectacle more human in this way. And I felt seen because I know the cost of spectacle. I know what it's like. And any performing artist here would relate to understanding what it's like to put on a show over and over again and perform night after night, be on stage. And then after you live that, waiting for the adrenaline to settle, like all of that. So their body postures, right? In here, there's and even the raw expression of the brushes, and the details, the colors, muted earth tones, but the body language here to me spoke to me heavy, reflective, inward. So it's, we're not just celebrating performance in this entire exhibit, right? We are also showing the humanity behind it. And for me, this shows that. So it expends, for me, the theme beyond extravagance into truth. And reminds us that spectacle is built on human fragility, and that sometimes the most powerful performances often happen in the quiet moments when no one is applauding, right? So the art of spectacle includes the cost of spectacle. So I want to make my final comments tying these three, but then we want to hear from our artists and open up for questions, right? So because I didn't choose each one just individually. For me, together, they were also telling a story, the three awards, right? So here, revealing the humanity behind performance, the exhaustion, the in-between moments, the emotional cost that audiences rarely witness. Then the second, examining the tension of performance itself, right? With creating that psychological drama, showing sometimes that spectacle also live in the silence in between what's being said, in the gaze that characters give each other on stage. And then the third, embodying the seductive power of spectacle, right? That mastery of light and danger and inviting us into transformation. So for me, together, these three are expanding the idea that spectacle is not just glitter and grandeur, right? It's vulnerability, it is tension and seduction. It's risk. It's deeply human to be seen and also seeing in return. So every artist here, I think, showed this in different ways and transformed the gallery into a stage. So this gallery became a stage for me and invited us not just to observe, but also feel its impact. I would love to hear from our artist about this piece and how what I shared speaks to you in your experience.
Appreciate it. So I've long been interested in people at work. And with pastels, primarily. And when I make a painting, I usually like to get something that catch a snapshot of something, and I'll record it as a moment in time, something that is real and existing. It's not a bunch of BS, it's true. I also have been rejected from enough shows, so I wanted to go against the grain here in this respect. I knew there were going to be a lot of, trapeze flyers and introduction to the Sarasota circus there. I think it's a beautiful watercolor. Yeah. I wanted to have a moment in time, not just somebody, because I started to do some research, looking at pictures of people on trapezes, and I said, I'm not going to do that. So I thought I would take a snapshot, which is in my own mind, what would be people at work, and artists have their intermezzo.
Right.
So that's
Yeah.
gone out.
It's a job.
So
Right?
You're right.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. The title is Circus Performers Intermezzo. Yeah.
Could you talk about how you developed the piece? Did you do, for example, individual figure sketches?
I did a lot of sketches, yeah. First of all, I traveled and I've seen, numerous artists, and I've seen similar works, but not this work. And I started with a big piece of paper and charcoal, and I positioned this one and that one. I needed, and also I wanted to do this in a more stylized kind of fashion. So I kind of outlined, this was a black and gray. I don't necessarily do that, here and around here to make it more dramatic. And then I sort of wanted to, very difficult to get all those figures on paper. I used specifically a small sheet of sandpaper because I wanted to be more like a photograph than just another, big painting. So it took a lot of work to get it positioned so that they weren't crowded and yet they were together.
It's hard putting a lot of figures in them. I love the perspective looking down. It's like you're a stagehand up in the rafters, looking down at these figures.
And to your thing, I didn't make every mark beautiful or whatever, I left it kind of grainy. Rather than make it just, perfect.
But it's such a, even with that, like their body language, I immediately recognize all of these moments, right? Like all of these moments, I have been each one of these characters before. And I've recognized colleagues in these moments, and it's like it's still there. And it is the humanity. It is the cost of being a performer. And it is a snapshot. It is people at work. It is somebody's way of making their living. And they're like doing this over and over again to entertain others, right? So it is important to see the truth as well of the spectacle. And I think this really highlights. Yeah.
As a matter of interest, sorry, the palette of colours you've used, did you think it was, or do you think it's a period piece? Do you think it's a particular period, or you think that's now, or? I get the impression that it's old.
The colors.
Yeah, and the actual figures.
Like a snapshot from the past.
Yeah. I mean, is that
evolved with me?
Right.
I think it can be the past. I think it is the present, and it can be the future.
It's not too perfect. There's, it's good. It's good, but it's not, sort of the purple on the tablecloth is not really bright purple. It's not anything. It's just
no, it's not glittered.
Yeah, it's a suggestion of a color.
Yeah.
And even there's a lot of similarity between the box he's sitting on and her leggings.
Yeah, I think for me, this, while it may give us the impression of the past, is very contemporary, and it's also not something that, this looks like the future as well, right? It's like it's still a human behind the costume and the face paint doing this work and bringing their humanity to it and their truth to it. So, any other thoughts or questions about anything or any other piece or anything you'd like to?
Certainly worked your butt out. Thank you.
It was so wonderful. It's such an honor to be a part of this, to be able to make connections and make meaning and tell stories and share my why, knowing that we all make our own why and make our own connections. That's my favorite thing about art in general. It's having these conversations. So thank you for having me, and thank you for listening. And Thinking your comments.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you guys all so much for coming, and Maria did a great job. And
My pleasure.
Wonderful to have your unique perspective for this.
My
theme.
pleasure. My pleasure.
I will shout out quickly, our next call to artists is open. There's about a month left, Medium Mutiny. And we have a guest judge here. Ed Swan is the juror for that show. So if you want to get some tips.
He's the person to talk to.
What's the topic? What's the topic? What's